I've just spent 2 weeks traveling around Malaysia, and in this video I'm going to explain everything you need to know before you go, my first impressions on the place, and give you a mini itinerary. We're going to touch on costs, traveling around, my favorite places, whether Malaysia is good for a holiday or is it good for digital nomads as well. The good things, the bad things, why you might want to travel there, and reasons why you might not as well. It's also worth noting that last year I went to Kuala Lumpur for 2 nights and I got told by a lot of people that I wouldn't like Malaysia. I ended up liking the city a lot, and then I got told by another bunch of people that Kuala Lumpur isn't the real Malaysia. Go and see other places such as Ipoh, Langkawi, Penang. So this is my experience of the west coast of Malaysia in 2025. Firstly, let me give you a few little tips about when you arrive or when you are going to Malaysia. First of all, if you are traveling from a country like the UK and a lot of other countries, you'll get a visa upon arrival for 90 days, so you won't have to apply beforehand. But they have brought in something called the MDAC, which is Malaysia something arrival card, and you want to be doing that online so you skip the queue. A lot of people, when we arrived in Kuala Lumpur airport, were sat about having to fill in these forms because they didn't do it online. Do it online more than 3 days before your flight is due, and then you will skip that queue. You will go straight to the immigration officer. They'll give you a stamp and let you through. Next, you want to make sure you have Grab downloaded on your phone. Grab is common amongst all of Southeast Asia. It's the Uber of this part of the world. In Malaysia, Grab is, in my opinion, better than other countries. It's good everywhere, but in Malaysia it's super cheap, very fast, and it gives you instructions on where to go if you're in places like bus stations or airports. For example, when you're in Kuala Lumpur airport, if you fire up the Grab app and then book a taxi, it will explain exactly where you need to go to catch that taxi. So on this level, through this door, and it will even give you kind of a guide through on the app. So download Grab. And then if you want a SIM card in Malaysia, which I would always recommend for people if you're traveling around, it just makes life a lot easier. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but I'm going to put it up on the screen now. Get one of the packages. We bought one for 14 days each, and I believe it was somewhere in the region of about $10 US for 2 weeks. Maybe slightly less, but I'll put the price on the screen as well. Unreal value. Get it done at the airport, saves you a lot of time. Some people say get it done in a shop and save yourself $2. For me, the hassle of just getting online straight away, knowing I'm connected, especially as I'm working on the go and need to be connected for work reasons, get yourself connected straight away in the airport. It's good value and it gets you up and running immediately. Next, let's talk about the people and the reception that you get when you get to Malaysia. I'll be honest, initially when you get there, people seem a little bit more reserved. You don't get the typical smiles just from random people walking down the street as you do in, for example, Thailand. But what you do get when you speak to people is generally a helpful, warm and welcoming reception. Especially when you speak to people about Malaysia, people are so passionate about it, and it's 100% without doubt the country I've been to that the people want you there. When you are leaving, they turn around and say, please come back. They want you in the country. They want tourists there. They receive us very well, and they don't seem, for the most part, like they want something from us. And that's another plus point. The language barrier there is very minimal. Most people speak a little English, but a lot of people speak very good English. Some people, English is almost equal to their native tongue. You have people that speak Chinese, people that speak Indian, and people that speak Malay. All of them languages are native to Malaysians, given the fact that it's quite a diverse country with people's origins stemming from different parts of the world. Now, if you go to other countries like Vietnam, like Cambodia, like Thailand, you will notice there's quite a big drinking culture. And in Malaysia, that's not really the thing. There's quite a big Islamic population there. Over half the country's population is Muslim. So the drinking and partying element of Malaysia compared to many other countries in Southeast Asia is a lot less. This also means alcohol's a little bit more expensive there, and the culture is a little bit different. And Malaysia is a massive country, so the way of life and the culture changes vastly depending on where you are. Clothing or expectations of your dress code will change for men, women. So it's worth noting that if you do travel around the country and get amongst it in the eastern parts, like I said, I've not been, so I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I've looked into it. That will be something worth noting. Now, Malaysia is a hot and humid country. The weather varies massively from place to place. I looked into it again before going, but I can't give you any advice on the whole place or anything else. And if you look up, depending on where you're going, you'll be able to find better advice than what I could give you on places I haven't been. What I will say is if you go to the likes of Langkawi, you're looking at a dry season probably from around November through to like March, April. It's going to follow very similarly to the southern islands of Thailand because it is very close to Thailand. And then according to Google, on the eastern part of Malaysia, you've pretty much got the inverse weather pattern. So do look into it before you go. And if you go to Kuala Lumpur, just expect it to be hot and humid with a little bit of rain pretty much year round. You'll obviously have some sunshine too, but for the most part, prepare for a little bit of rain, humidity and heat and sun. Now let's talk about getting around in Malaysia. So the main ways are going to be flights internally, buses, taxis, or renting your own scooter. So flights are an easy way to get around, especially if you're in Kuala Lumpur. It's so connected. They're very cheap as well, and they're very fast. We actually caught the fastest flight I've ever been on from Penang to Langkawi. The flight was 22 minutes, and we got a snack and a drink in flight. By the time we got up, we come back down, and we'd literally landed 22 minutes from liftoff to landing. That was with the airline Firefly, I believe. The other airlines take note, especially AirAsia. Then in Malaysia, if you do want to catch buses, which we done twice, they are very good. They're comfortable, they recline, and they're a very affordable way of getting around, especially if you have luggage and you need to pay the airline to end up checking it in. If you get on the bus, you can just whack all your luggage underneath, and then you're saving yourself money in that respect. And if you are doing any work, if you're a digital nomad, you can pull out your laptop and do all of your work, stay connected on the coach. So you can book the buses either in person or One2Go Asia is the app to use online. The issue with booking it ahead of time, the day before, which is what we done in Kuala Lumpur, is the fact that when we done it, we come back the next day and that bus had cancelled. In the rare occasion of booking ahead being a bad thing, I would actually say in this instance, booking ahead might be a bad thing. Other than that, the buses were reliable, they were fairly on time, they were comfortable, and it allowed us to do work, and it saved us money on the flying and saved the faff of an airport. Other option is taxis. Taxis on short journeys are very fast, very reliable, and very cheap, especially if you book through Grab. We did last year, not knowing the prices of Kuala Lumpur, end up booking a taxi from the central station into the centre of the city and ended up paying quite a hefty price for what we should have been paying. If you go on to Grab, it will cost you anywhere from £1 or $1.20 up to about $3 to $5 for maybe a 15 to 30 minute ride. Download Grab and use that quite a bit when you're there for your shorter journeys around the city. Then finally, we have scooters, and quite rare for this part of the world in Southeast Asia. Malaysia's pretty comfortable to drive in. It doesn't feel as chaotic, it feels organised, the roads feel well maintained, the traffic and the people driving seem a little bit more considerate about other people. Don't get me wrong, still Southeast Asia, this isn't Europe, this isn't the UK, but it feels quite safe and comfortable to ride there. So renting a scooter, probably a good idea if you are looking to get a little bit of autonomy, knock about, go see some things for yourself and go and explore. Scooter for a short-term rental isn't as cheap. We paid somewhere in the region of $7 to $10 for one day. If you book 7, 14, 28 days, if you were staying longer, you're going to get a better deal and the price is going to come down. Now, where the people right about Malaysia? Is Kuala Lumpur not that nice of a place? Is Kuala Lumpur not really Malaysia? Is the other parts of the country, especially on the west coast, nicer than Kuala Lumpur? And do they deserve the credit? And should you spend more of your time there? This is my opinion. Kuala Lumpur is a great city, in my opinion. I've spoken to so many people that said, don't go there. So many people. And now, since I've been there and said how much I liked it and posted videos like this, I've spoken to a lot more people that have agreed and said it's an amazing city. It's almost like Southeast Asia meets Europe. The food's amazing. Getting around is easy. It's quite modern. It feels quite safe. It's very clean for the most part. It's very organized. I genuinely liked Kuala Lumpur a lot. Has a lot to offer. Still a good place to go and explore. I personally would go for 2 to 3 to 4 nights, depending on your length of trip. If you're going for 4 weeks to Malaysia, spend like 4 or 5 nights there. If you're going for a week, maybe spend 2 nights. And despite me just going on a short trip there, the condos are nice. And when I've looked online, there's other videos that go into this. You can get affordable accommodation in nice big complexes, modern swimming pools, gyms for a good affordable price. We actually stayed at a place very close to Kuala Lumpur Airport. We've stayed there twice now, and we had a gym, swimming pool, only a small room. It was for around 15 to 18 US dollars per night. So if you've got a flight early on in the morning, or you just want to stay near the airport before moving onwards, for me, that's a very good option that allows you to stay close there, save some money, get your head down, and also use the gym as well. Now, was the other parts of the country that we visited, was Ipoh, Penang, Langkawi, were they nicer than Kuala Lumpur? Visually, Langkawi for me was the nicest. It was the most laid back. It was the most chilled. I've done a separate video going into that in more detail, but effectively it's like a quieter, calmer version of a Thai island with a little less going on. I can imagine if you weren't working there and you stayed a little bit longer, you might get a little bit bored. But in terms of visuals and the general atmosphere, vibe and laid back nature of the place, I liked it a lot. It felt clean. The beaches are absolutely beautiful, and there's enough to do for a few days to at least keep you busy. And if you were in one of the southern islands like Koh Lipe in Thailand, you could even nip there just for a few days to check it out. You've also got the airport there, so you can fly into and out of Kuala Lumpur from there. Next, we have Ipoh, just a couple hours north, 2 to 3 hours north of Kuala Lumpur. We were only there for 2 days, but it was nice. It was chilled. There wasn't tons going on, but it was a nice atmosphere. It was clean. It was together. And if you wanted to go to the Cameron Highlands, it's a good place to base yourself before going and exploring. Ipoh also has a bus station, and the bus station will allow you to go either south to Kuala Lumpur or north onwards to Penang. We caught the bus then to Penang, Georgetown, and we stayed there for around 5 nights. Georgetown's very nice. The food is unreal there. The vibe of the place is quite European. It's quite modern. It's neither like Kuala Lumpur or like Langkawi. It's somewhere in between. Even though it is an island, it doesn't give off island paradise vibes at all. You have got a little beach area in Batu Ferringhi, which is about half an hour away from Georgetown. You've got a ton to do on the island. You've also got the airport there. So it's a nice place to visit, great for food. And we quite enjoyed our time there. Lots of cafes there. So if you are a digital nomad, if you are working remotely, very good setup there. And I got one of the best haircuts I've ever had whilst traveling in Georgetown as well. So thumbs up. I would travel there. How long would I go for? Maybe 3 nights, maybe 4 nights is fine in Georgetown. From Penang, we then caught the 22-minute flight to Langkawi. Langkawi for me is probably my favourite part of Malaysia, even though just because we've been moving around so much, we then got a chance to chill out. As I said before, it's probably not tons to do there if you were staying long term and you weren't working. But for a shorter trip, or if you're set up as a digital nomad, I would recommend going to Langkawi 100%. It's a very nice island, very picturesque. The beaches are stunning. You can go on an island hopping trip for a half day for around 15 US dollars per person. They've got a lot of wildlife and nature there, and they've got some nice restaurant and a few bars as well. It is worth noting again, because of the Muslim population, there isn't as much of a drinking vibe on Langkawi. It might look like Thailand, it might feel a little bit like it, but it's not. So that's worth noting. If you are somebody that likes to party or likes to go out, it's probably not your place for too long. For a nice chilled out, laid back vibe, especially if you've been traveling a lot, I think it's a great place. I would spend anywhere from 3 to 5 nights in Langkawi. We actually ended up doing 6 or 7 nights there. So that is kind of how I would plan this itinerary if I wanted to go to these 4 places. Now, the next 2 points I'm going to talk about are food and the price things. I'm not going to go into food too much. I have a video all about Malaysian food. I'm going to say it again. Malaysian food is the best food I've ever eaten as a whole, because it's the most diverse. You still have Thai food there. You have Malay food, you have Chinese food, Indian food, Western food, and everything in between. The place with food, I cannot stress more, is unreal. Now let's get into the price. In terms of accommodation, it varies. Sometimes you can find somewhere that is very cheap, but because we were booking in the short term, maybe 2 nights before, a night before, or 4 nights before maximum, places were fewer and further between, so we had to pay a little bit more. Malaysia is one of them countries where the prices balance out. If one thing's expensive, another thing's cheap. The phone, for instance, loads of data was around 10 to 15 US dollars for 2 weeks. As a tourist sim, no contract. Taxis getting around quite often were around $1 for a 10-minute ride or a 5-minute ride. The food was relatively cheap and affordable no matter where you went. Alcohol is on the more expensive side, and if you're drinking in Kuala Lumpur or the airport, expect alcohol to be very expensive. If you're drinking in Langkawi, it's duty free and the alcohol cost is a little bit less. You won't be able to buy it everywhere in Malaysia anyway, because a lot of restaurants don't serve alcohol, but you'll be able to get it in the shops, and there are still bars in all of the places that I've mentioned. Accommodation, if you're booking longer term, you will be able to get good deals. I have not stayed longer term, but there's plenty of videos out there highlighting what you can get for your money. And then day tours and excursions were relatively cheap as well. All of the excursions that you could do in Langkawi, for instance, were very affordable or dirt cheap. It was around £9 per person or around 12 US dollars per person to do a half-day island hopping trip. That's just one little nugget of information to kind of give you an insight into how much things will cost if you're doing excursions or day trips, especially in Langkawi. Now, my opinion and first impressions of Malaysia, having been twice now and having spent nearly 3 weeks in total in the country. It's a unique place, a very nice place. It feels very much like Europe and Asia collide. And I guess that is the way. The British had colonized and owned Malaysia for a long time. There's a big diverse culture there from backgrounds such as China and India and the Malay people. So you have these influences from everywhere and you can feel it. Maybe that is the reason why it feels so diverse, or like Asia meets Europe. Or is it because there's more infrastructure? The roads are well paved and well maintained. The traffic's a bit more orderly. There's less chaos and noise. I don't know. All of them things I love about Southeast Asia. And I have to say, when I'm in Malaysia, I almost miss the chaos of a place like Thailand and Vietnam with the traffic going around and being chaotic. But it's still a super interesting place, and a place that I really enjoyed last year and really enjoyed again this year. And I would love to go back and see more of the country, because so I'm told the eastern parts and Borneo are just as interesting, beautiful, and give you a whole different taste of the country as well. So as a whole, I would recommend Malaysia being a place to travel to. It was amazing. I loved it. If there was only one thing that you would go to Malaysia for, it would be the food. And if there was a second, it would be how warm and welcoming the people are. Great country, great to visit. Now, there's so many good parts about Malaysia and so many good things about Malaysia that would draw me back. Could I imagine myself there longer term? Initially, no, I wouldn't want to be there long term. I'd never rule it out. And the ease of entering and getting a 90-day visa upon arrival is a massive draw. But to visit Malaysia, 100%, I'll be back again. I'll be exploring more of the country. I'll be having more of that unreal food. Guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you tuning in. If I've missed anything in here, let me know in the comments. If there's something you agree with, disagree with, or you can provide more insight, let me know in the comments as well. Until the next one, peace.